All right, good evening, everyone. With the posted time having arrived and a quorum of members present, I'll call the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting to order, rescheduled from last week, so thank you, everyone, for being flexible with the schedule. Today is Monday, November 25th, 2024. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our last meeting on 10/21, copies of which were in the packets. Does anyone have any adjustments that they need for the minutes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion since
Motion from Larson, is there a
There's a select
second?
few.
Second by Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. Item 2 is to consider approval or denial of various license applications. You'll see we have a few in the packet. A couple of them are event applications that we need to get to council for tomorrow. There are no denials for this month, so we won't have any appeal activity. If no one has any questions about the licenses that appear in the packet, I would take a motion to accept or deny licenses as recommended by staff. We have a motion from Lukens. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Larson. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item 3 is discussion and possible action on amending the Wausau Municipal Code, amending Chapter 2.8.090, case schedule regarding night court. And you have a memo from the city attorney in your packets. This is essentially a housekeeping item that as they went through and did some code revisions, there were apparently old references made to night court, which we're cleaning up. So I guess, does anyone have any questions about that? Because we're not conducting night court here. If not, I'll take a motion to approve the changes as drafted.
So
Motion
be it.
by
I'll make
Larson,
the
is there a
motion.
second?
Second.
Second by Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action approving clinical affiliation agreement for health and community services operations or occupations. This is between the fire department and NTC. You'll see a draft copy of the contract that Ann distributed. They're making some final tweaks to this, but this is the agreement that allows NTC students to get their clinical hours with our department, which has been enforced for some time, and this is essentially a renewal of that agreement. Does anyone have any questions on that? We can refer those to Deputy Chief Plus, if so. Anything that you wanted to add on the agreement, Justin?
The only thing I just want to touch on is it's been a while since we've had paramedic students do their clinical times with the Wausau Fire Department, partially because of COVID, and then last year and a half, we were adding young staff to the roster, so it wasn't really feasible to have paramedic students. But so not only is this a important part of the paramedic course, but it also helps us get a first look at some of the paramedic students. They get acquainted with Wausau Fire, and it just helps with that recruitment. It becomes a recruitment tool.
Sure, I think that's great because it allows them to get a view of the department and you guys to see them as well, so that's a win-win. If there's no additional questions on the agreement, is there a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion from Larson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Lukens, they just take turns tonight. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that agreement passes as well. Item number 5 is discussion and possible action on proposal to adjust charges for ambulance services to townships. As you know, we provide ambulance service for a fee to a number of neighboring townships. As part of his budget directive, Chief Kopp has been working on, with the cyclical renewal of those contracts, an adjustment to the fees. And so that's really the item that we have before us. The contract terms, it sounds like, are basically staying the same. And the CPI adjustment that kicks in annually will also remain in place, right, Ann?
Yes.
On these, so does anyone have any questions on these agreements? I think there's 5 or 6 that we're providing service to right now.
Yes.
Got Brokaw, Maine, Town of Texas, Town of Berlin, Town of Wausau, and Town of Hewitt. Does that sound right, Justin?
That would be correct.
Okay, perfect.
I have a question, but
Go ahead.
is there not anymore town of Broco? Is that still a town of Broco, or is that all?
It's the
into-
village
Okay,
of Brokaw. We contracted with in 2018 for the year 2018, and then they were absorbed into the village of Maine. So actually, it's 1, 2, 3, it's actually 5 contracts now. I'm sorry.
So
It's the
Brokaw and
village of
Maine are
Maine.
joined now?
Right.
Broco
I
is
see.
is now
Because they
Maine.
absorbed
That's the point I
Brokaw
was trying to
into their
make.
Oh.
village boundaries.
Yep. So, excellent.
So with that change, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve those changes. Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Second by Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 6 is discussion and update on public safety fees for ticketed events. Chief Barnes was actually going to give us an update on this. He's kind of been working, or at least starting to work on this. Obviously, as part of our budget, recently we did pass a provision to allow public safety fees to apply for ticketed events to cover the cost of overtime and standby, or at least recover part of that. This committee will be tasked early next year in creating that plan. So I believe that the police department and the clerk's office are going to kind of work together on that, figure out which events should be paying, and then how we collect from them and track based on their estimated attendance, right? I guess he is not here this evening. Did you want to, I guess, give it a little update, Caitlin, on kind of where you guys left off? Because we'll see this again for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, so several of us staff members met a couple weeks ago to talk about how we would potentially implement this new charge. And we were looking at the approach of creating an ordinance. And then we would apply this policy to all ticketed events that require police and/or fire services as determined by the police and/or the fire chief. And then we're looking at a model similar to our room tax report where the events would report post-event. They would submit that report within 30 days of their event with a number of admission tickets. Then possibly having a separate agreement with the Wisconsin Valley Fair since they don't actually provide or apply for a special event application with us because it's not in a city facility.
County facility.
Yeah, so those were kind of our high points, and that we'll be working with the attorney's office to kind of draft what that ordinance would look like.
Well, that makes sense, and I think we also had talked about maybe making some adjustments to the application. I think we already asked on the front end about admissions and estimated attendance, so maybe just refining those questions a little better, and then making clear reference to the fact within the application that the ordinance exists, and what its application is for those tickets. I think we were looking at approximately $1 per ticket is where the council had left off, is what they tasked us with creating. So, Lou?
I just have one question, and that is, for the fair, do we, that being that it's a county fair and it's on a county facility, does the city provide protection for that? So then we would, or, because my question would be, who offers protection for that?
It's
The
a
county or the city?
We can defer to Melinda on that. It's a significant amount of time. They have a staff trailer that sits out there the whole week, right? So,
Yeah, we do. We have the Marathon County Command Trailer as well as dispatch, so that it's both the city and Marathon County that's providing security out there. We've got police officers, CSOs, fire department.
Okay, so I guess thank you. And so my second question would be and then if the fees were collected for that, would that get split between the two law enforcement agencies? That
if
would
it's
be
a city
something-
ordinance, I think it would be city revenue.
That did come up during our meeting, which that would have to be ironed out depending on what the county's policy is as well as ours and what, the amount of staffing that's shared between the two organizations.
Well, and they'd have to pass similar legislation to make it happen if they wanted to share in it, right?
So, yeah, I guess then
Yeah,
they would have to kind of piggyback, kind of like with the parks, the county parks department, since we no longer, since we're policing the parks for homeless now during the day, drinking, alcohol consumption and stuff, Ms. Polly had indicated that they've all moved to Marathon Park now because there's no ordinance there, but now that they have something to
I see.
piggyback on, they're considering that, so I guess the
Right.
same, something like that would apply for the tickets for,
They'd have to pass matching policy through
For-
their board too, to share with us if, my guess is that right now it would be our revenue stream though. So,
thank you.
okay. So we really have no decision to make tonight, other than kind of just teeing up the fact that in the committee in the next few meetings, as this moves along, we'll start to see this program come together that we can help create and review. Caitlin did mention that in the permitting software, there is a field they can mark where they can put in a checkbox to determine who has paid and who has not. So there'll be a way to track the receivables as well, to make sure that they're collecting from the events that are supposed to be paying, so, right? So,
Yes.
okay, but yeah, logistically, otherwise, they're working on it, I guess, is where we leave off. Anybody have anything else on that? If not, we will let that hold for now, and then once they have some, either the outline of the policy, a more progress report for us next month, we'll see that again. Item number 7 is the tavern activities report for the month of October. Again, doesn't look like too terrible of a month, based on the notable events that they had outlined there. Anybody have anything that they need more information on that you've seen in the report? I will just add that within the last week and a half, I have received, well, I'd say within the last 2 months, actually, I've received a really, an increased amount of complaint from the neighbors in the neighborhood surrounding Aftershock. We previously have had problems there. We were in the midst of what we thought was a long period of quiet where things were really calmed down, and now it's ramping up again. They've added karaoke 2 nights a week, to the extent that the reverberation from that entertainment is disruptive enough to the neighborhood that it's causing a volume of complaints again. So I've requested that our sector officer in that area just have a little higher presence there, and then also ask that our tavern liaison go out and meet with the owner of Aftershock and remind them that the license is a privilege, not a property right, and that if they're unclear as to what our committee expects in exchange for the granting of the license, we would be happy to host the owner here and remind them if that discussion is not fruitful between the PD and the owner singularly. So, so that's what's happening in my district, I guess. I don't know if, Lieutenant Pauls, do you have anything that you want to add to either the tavern report or the Aftershock situation?
No, just that meeting should take place in the near future, and hopefully we'll get some partnership from the owner.
Okay, sounds good, hopefully. We've been able to come to some meeting of the minds before, and I'm hopeful that that happens again. So we certainly don't want to turn a blind eye to that stuff when it's disruptive, because we have, 60-plus other license holders who work hard to get it right. And so when they're not, there needs to be accountability. So that's where we're at. We've just requested a different level of activity take place there until we can get a better result. So, anything else on the tavern activities report? If not, we'll place that report on file. Okay. And then item 8 is the community outreach update. We don't have our community outreach coordinator with us this evening. She wasn't able to be with us tonight. She did submit her report in the packets for your review, though, and we decided we would hold her oral report for the month of December. So we won't have her present, but her report is in the packet, both for the public to review and for your review. Go ahead, Lou.
I have one thing before adjournment. We issued a while back a liquor license for the ramen noodle place, and also for Campus Pub. And I've noticed, I'm driving by there, that neither of these places have been opened yet. Are they within their timeframe of being open, or do we need to ask for the licenses back, or do we need a update report on these, on when they plan on opening? That's my question for.
Go ahead.
So we had reached out to Campus Pub about their license, and since they did not feel that they were close to opening, they voluntarily surrendered that back to the city. So we have one open license right now that we have published notice of, and then most likely we'll have a liquor license subcommittee before the December meeting because I think we have 2 or 3 applicants so far for that available license. And then with ramen, the ramen noodle, I think it's called, I'm not even, that place, we are working with them. I believe we have to get their inspections finalized.
I did see there's work been happening there now,
I
right?
did drive by there, I believe Sunday it was, and there was 2 cars out there, and there was kids playing in the parking lot, so I'm assuming there was work going on in there yet, so.
Lights have been on inside too when I've gone by. That's
Yeah.
the restaurant that was formerly Thrive.
Correct.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it
they
starts
did
with
signage up, I think it's Oishi,
Oranthai
but
or Oranthai or something,
Yep.
Ramen.
the ramen noodle bar, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have been looking forward for that.
They seem to
opening
be
up.
very excited about it. So I think
Yeah.
once that launches, it'll be well received. So
All right, thank
Okay,
you. Then,
so-
if nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
we are out of items. So we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No one's ever opposed. We'll stand adjourned then. Thanks, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.